I take for granted actually after doing so much personal development, having so many coaches of what people know, but you should always start with the end in mind. So I think we're programmed in school and go to college and go to university to think forward, to go this way. Or actually successful people think, where do I want to be? How do I reverse engineer it? So my thing was always to live by the beach. I always wanted to live by the beach. I always wanted to live in the sun. I tell you what, so there's a bit of a journey. Originally I was poor. I had some success in nightlife, but then I wanted to spend the money, and I nearly moved to Dubai during my nightclub business. But the way my business was structured, I couldn't. And so that was always something that kind of opened me up to, God, now I've got the money. How do I enjoy it? Well, I want to enjoy it, on a boat, by the beach, doing this stuff in the sun. Oh, I don't want to live in the city. So that opened that awareness up, because before that I was more of a, how do I just make more money? But once I started having excess, I started thinking, well, now I've got excess. How do I want to enjoy my life? So that became another question. From network marketing, obviously now understanding some of this stuff, well, how do I want to enjoy everything out of life, And I think I even thought this before I was a parent. I thought I want to be able to take my kid to private school. I want to be able to take him to school. I want to be able to go to the sports days. I want to be able to go for a run on the beach. So I started designing this life. So network marketing was one of the main businesses that gave me passive income. Once I built up the business to a certain level, I was able to enjoy passive income. Then I could be based anywhere. And prior to that, in nightclubs and in my security system, my contracting business, I never really understood that I could be based geographically. Of course, COVID has come, and now most people understand they could be based anywhere. But prior to that, it was more conventional. So I moved over to Marbella, Spain. It was close to the UK. It was 2-3 hours. I had friends there. I'd done business there. A lot of people from the UK would travel there. It was just kind of one of those places that was well known. It was where I could live by the beach and then fly back for whatever business meeting I needed and stuff like that. Then Brexit happened, and I wanted to, obviously when I'm earning a certain amount, I'm thinking now tax. So we moved to Portugal. I was married at this point. We moved to Portugal, and we thought, well, it's like Spain, but it's just it's a little bit further down the road, down the coast, but similar kind of way of living, and we enjoyed living in Spain. Went to Portugal. It was like going back in time. It was like Spain 15 years ago, and or more, even 20 years ago. It was a bit like going to a village where we were in the Algarve. So we didn't really settle there. That was the point where my wife and I decided to get divorced and also decided to break up. And so I was looking at tax havens, and Dubai came, and a couple of my friends had moved to Dubai, and I thought, well, I'm not sure it'd be right for me, but let me go and have a look. And I flew over and I spoke to some people, and I thought, I quite like it here. And then I thought, let me give it a go. I spent a few weeks here with some friends, and it just made a bit of sense. It was tax free, which is one of the things. It was already, obviously, of course, in the sun, by the beach, all of those great things. And then coming here now and settling here, a couple of things that I love about Dubai, and there is a mindset here. So Portugal had some tax benefits, not as good as Dubai, but the mindset was a very village-like mindset. There's not enough demand there. So my ex-wife had horses, just ordering stuff. It was way more expensive. You had less choice. And that was kind of that was everything in Portugal. You had less choice and everything's more expensive because the demand isn't there. You come to Dubai, everything you need, not just from the UK and the European world, but also from the US, the best of everything is here. I remember when I first moved into my first apartment here, and literally it was like a military operation, and I was running everything off of WhatsApp. It was so efficient. The internet getting on, the Amazon delivery, the furniture being delivered, everything. Everyone's just WhatsApping me, and we're setting the times. It was like, wow, this is crazy. In Portugal and Spain, you want to get anything done, you're waiting a week. You wait 2 weeks. So I was like, I can work with it. Yeah, I can work with this. In Portugal, where I was living, we didn't have the best internet. Dubai, super fast internet, right? And then just all different things. So look, today I'm living a life where I have a boat. I'm out on the boat. Funny enough, I was out yesterday on the boat. I'm going out on the boat tomorrow. I'm taking friends out. And it's the life that I envisage for myself as the bottom line.
Amazing. Yeah. And so what are some of the downsides of Dubai?
You could get me in trouble here. I think that, there's a lot of people moving here right now. What's some of the downsides? It's fast paced, which again, depending on what you want, I quite like. I'm at a growth stage in my life. It depends but I think you can actually build your life however you want, to be fair. I say that. I think that there's not a lot of physical crime, but there is a lot of digital crime. So you have to be mindful. You get lots of sales calls and stuff like that. There's not the privacy isn't as good. Lots of traffic at the minute. Look, I mean, yeah, I've got to be honest with you. It's hard for me to pull out some of this. There's always going to be downsides. Nothing's perfect, right? But as I'm reading this stuff off, it doesn't feel fair to say. I think that the good outweighs the bad, like by like 10 to 1. I think that you need to have a certain level of money. I was talking to my friend again today, and he's just moved over, and he said, look, just on going out, because we've fallen in, me and my wife have fallen into the Dubai life, and we've been here like 6 weeks and spent £25,000 just on going out, right? So he didn't anticipate that. So it is very social. It is, you get a lot of nice luxury things, but it costs, and you're more enticed to live that life. Like I often tell people in the US that Dubai is like a mix between Miami and Vegas. Now, if you've ever been to Vegas, you know, if you've got money to spend, Vegas will show you how to spend it, right? You'll have the trip of your life, but it will just cost you a lot, right? You'll do magical things that you've never done. You'll go and get the helicopter and land in the Grand Canyon, but it costs, right? And that's like Dubai. You can do anything and you get enticed to live that way, which I think is kind of good if you can afford to, right? But I think that also if things come down to a lack of time and a lack of money, or not enough time, not enough money, they're the wrong things and you're in the wrong headspace, you know?
And so there's a